You're listening to the Inspirational Power Hour. Now, listen, guys, I am super, super excited. Today, we have a special guest with us right now. I'm talking about none other than Mr. Charles Butler. How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing today?
I am fantastic. Listen, I am so excited to have you with us today.
I am so excited to be here.
Now, Charles, I followed your ministry for a minute. You have been doing this a while. So listen, I want to know the whole story. Tell us how you got started, how you formed your group, how you got your start in ministry.
So the backstory is pretty much when I was in high school many moons ago. I pretty much put an aggregation of singers together because our high school choir could not take some of the engagements, so I put a smaller ensemble together. So pretty much from that moment on, we would take some of the engagements, and pretty much one call would lead to another call. We eventually got a call to do background for Paul Porter from the Christianaires, and we did Bobby Jones with him. And from that moment forward, other artists started hearing our work, and we pretty much would do background for Bobby Jones for, I think we did the show about 7 years. And then we eventually got in connection with Ernest Pugh. We did his hit song Rain on Us, which went to #1. Then we did a 15-city tour with him, and then the rest was pretty much history from there. He signed us to a record deal. Our first album, Better, came out, and that was a Stellar-nominated album as well. So that was pretty much the start of Charles Butler and Trinity as people know it today.
So like you said, you guys have been able to perform along with a lot of different groups. Give us some more of those names. You said Ernest Pugh, Bobby Jones. Who were some of the other people that you guys got an opportunity to share with?
Well, with doing Bobby Jones for so long, we've literally done majority of the artists that you've seen on the show. So we've done everyone from Michelle Williams to Tasha Cobbs, William Murphy, pretty much all of the gospel artists that you hear today. We did background for them on the show for several years. So, we pretty much sang background for everyone. So that's how I was able to establish so many relationships with a lot of the gospel artists today.
And you guys, you're back with brand new music. You have this stellar award-winning project, The Blood Experience, and your single, I Know It Was the Blood. You got to tell us all about this because I see it all over social media, and you guys go in every time when you sing this song. So tell us about this song and the inspiration behind it.
I Know It Was the Blood. Honestly, it's a song that we actually redid. I heard it on Myron Butler's album many years ago. I think it's about maybe 6 years ago. And I had taught it to my praise team. And I always loved the song. So when we were going to record the album, we wanted some songs to record that all dealt with the blood. So we wanted to do an entire record with songs about the blood, and I knew that song was going to fit into the scheme of things. And then the writer of the song was right in my area. His name is Jarmone Davis. So, he literally is in my area. So I just hit Jarmone up and was like, hey, man, do you mind if we re-record that song? And he was like, most definitely. So we just put our Charles Butler and Trinity twist on it, and then that's the song that you're hearing today. So, it's one of my favorites on the album, and it's definitely something. Even on yesterday, somebody called me and told me that their praise team is doing it for Easter. So I'm really excited that so many churches around the country is covering our music for Resurrection Sunday.
And of course, Charles, I always appreciate when artists give us music that we can do in our churches, with our praise teams. We always need fresh music for our congregation, our worship services.
Yes, I think it's really important, especially since I'm a minister of music. One of the things that I found the problem with is trying to pull songs for my choirs to learn, especially with a lot of radio stations being so solo heavy and praise and worship heavy. We don't have choir music playing anymore, so it's really difficult for me as a minister of music to pull songs for an actual choir. So I wanted to make sure that I still record choir music and keep choir music alive. So that's very important for me.
And so The Blood Experience, the full project, is a Stellar nominated album. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
Now, this is not you guys' first Stellar nomination, correct?
So actually, this is my 4th nomination. So 3 albums, 4 nominations.
So with this particular project, all of these songs were centered around the blood. Now, what gave you that concept and made you want to go in that direction for this project?
Well, On our last project, we had a song called The Blood on our Make It album, which was on our sophomore album. And I felt like that our live version of that song didn't portray, the studio version didn't portray what we did live. And everyone kept saying, you should redo the song, do a live version of the song. So initially we were going to do just a live version of that song and just put it out. And so I told my musical director, I said, look, why don't we just do a couple songs and make it an EP? And it just ended up being a whole album of Blood songs. So, you know, and then it was so unique because, you know, me trying to talk to the label about doing it, it really had not been done before. There were really no themed gospel albums. I think when they did the research, the last themed gospel album was Johnny Cash in like 1960. So there was no research for the album to know how would a themed album do in 2017. So, you know, it just was, you know, it's hard to convince someone to do something that honestly really hadn't been done before. And then on top of that, trying to add a preacher to a record. So it really, honestly, we had no idea that we would even get a nomination. This was just a bona fide church record. We went into my home church, used them church microphones, and people don't believe it to this day. I was talking to Jonathan Nelson about that the other day. He was just like, I can't believe that, you know, you really just did all of this entire record in-house. And I'm like, yeah, we did everything in-house. I didn't use a major producer. You know, it's just, you rehearse the singers well. You know, I got pretty good singers. I thank God for it, amen. So we got pretty good singers. We rehearsed pretty well. You know, we had a pretty good product.
Now, you're being mighty humble, sir, but you guys have some amazing singers, absolutely amazing. Now, listen, guys, we're going to take a listen to this single, I Know It Was the Blood, in just a few minutes. But before we do, Charles, what is it that you want people to get from your ministry? What do you want people to take away?
What I want people to take away from my ministry is that that I live to push other people, and that's kind of my desire in life, is to push the people that push me. And I think sometimes, a lot of times people will serve behind somebody, and they don't always get their just due, or feel like the person that they serve with don't always push them. So that's one of the things that I try to do as much as possible, is push the people that push me. So I feel like that great leaders die empty. And so many times I feel like a lot of our pastors, bishops, choir directors, whomever, they die with the baton in their hand and they don't want to pass it on. But, you know, I feel like kingdom building is about passing it on to the next generation. And that is what I'm definitely trying to do, even with up and coming artists, or trying to give them as much advice as I can. You know, I struggle coming up in the industry because so many people just didn't want to give me any advice or give me, you know, any direction. So I don't want people to go into that same path. So I'm always trying to help the next generation not make the mistakes that I did.
All right. So before we go, Charles, if you talked about all the different artists that you've worked with, if you could work with anyone else, who would it be?
Beyonce. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. Oh, hey, listen.
No,
Listen.
honestly, if I had to collaborate with somebody right now, honestly, I am really feeling Jonathan McReynolds. Like, I think it would be so night and day for us to kind of collaborate, because, you know, we're so quote unquote, we have like this churchy album out right now, and then he's kind of a laid back singer, kind of a soul singer in a sense. So I think right now I've been playing Jonathan McReynolds' new album like every day. So I would love to collaborate with him on something. And one of the things I loved about him the most is he redid this old choir song, Great Is Our God. And I'm just like, I can't believe he redid it and made it his own. So I would love to work with him.
All right. Listen, guys, we are so super excited to have brand new music by Charles Butler. And Charles, you know what? We're about to take a listen to this single. But before we do, I want you to set this up and introduce it to our listeners.
Well, you're about to hear I Know It Was the Blood by Charles.
It's the inspirational power.